City of Joy is a revolutionary center in Bukavu, a Democratic Republic of Congo. It was conceived of and imagined by the women of Congo, and it came out of their desire and their needs. And it was actually built by many of the women of Congo as well, for women who have been through really horrific atrocities and wounds and sufferings to turn their pain to power. And at the center, they are given a whole range of trainings and skills. There's psychotherapy, which involves community psychotherapy, dance and art and healing and theater. There is literacy training. There is English. There is self-defense. There is civics. There is communication. Our dream is that in 5 years, I think we will have nearly 1,000 women who have graduated, and we'll have a core group of women who will begin to rise up and be the leaders of the DRC and transform the country and take back the country from the internationals who are pillaging the minerals and destroying the infrastructure and basically making Congo taking Congo away from the Congolese. A lot of women don't even know what rape is, that you have a right to say, I don't feel like sex tonight, or this doesn't feel good for me, or could you do it that way? And part of what's happening at City of Joy is because it's run by the Congolese and taught by the Congolese, and there's nobody from the outside there, people are able to teach each other all kinds of things about sex ed, about learning your body, about knowing your rights. So one of the wonderful things that's starting to happen is women are starting to say, wow, I don't like this, I like this, I want this, I don't want this. And one of the big messages of City of Joy is that when women go back to their communities, they go back with 2 or 3 women to the same community, and they'll start small centers there where they then pass on what they've learned. If women on the ground, particularly the women, are empowered and believe that what they know is true, what they see is real, and that they have a right to determine the future of their countries and their families and their bodies, that they will, in fact, in a few years rise up and begin to transform the country. And I think if we can support women doing it in the Congo, we can begin to see that happening in many places. Well, I often think, why doesn't violence against women get the attention that other issues get? Femicide, which is happening in places like the Congo, where we're talking about the eradication of the population through sexual violence. Femicide is equivalent to the global warming of women. It's the disappearing of women, it's the muting of women, it's the shutting down of women, it's the death of women's bodies, it's the erasure of the self of women. Why? What makes it possible for 500,000 women in the Congo to be raped without impunity? What makes it possible for people to eradicate laws and try to just dismiss domestic battery and decriminalize it at a whim? What makes it possible for Herman Cain, who's running for president now, who has 4 women coming forward to say he sexually harassed him, to still continue running for president? What is the bottom line? And where is the bottom line going to come from? And when are we really going to be over it? For many years, I've wondered why the good men who aren't raping and aren't beating, and there are many of them, haven't risen up to be with us in this struggle, and that they're not fighting for this as much as they fight for football, for example. And I don't know all the reasons, but what's beginning to happen is this movement called We Men, which is our parallel movement of men. I joke about it, but they reached out to a whole group of men at the beginning to ask them to write about ending violence against women and girls and radio silence. And then they reached out to men to say, well, would you write about masculinity and pretty much radio silence? And then they reached out and said, would you write about your dicks? And suddenly a huge outpour of information came. So we're now in the, I think that's quite telling, but I have to say it was also true when I talk to women about vaginas. Everybody loves to talk about their vagina and their penis. Somehow it's, the story of your vagina or penis is the story of your life. I just want to say to men, I think we need you. We can't do this without men. We don't rape ourselves, 95% of the violence happening on the planet is men to women violence. And that doesn't mean all men are rapists. It doesn't mean most men are rapists. It means some men are rapists. But what it means is that the men who aren't rapists need to make this their central issue and need to speak out to their brothers and to their friends and say, why are you speaking badly about a woman? Why are you objectifying that woman? And until that happens, we're not going to end violence against women.